Alright, so back at it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to replace the spark plugs and the spark plug wires. We got to remove this plastic intake plenum first, just to access all the goodies. I apologize for the battery video. I lost the footage while recording. So the next thing is to replace remove this plenum. It's held down by 5 8mm bolts. You can also use a 5/16 socket if you need to. It's got a lot of play in it. So loosen those up first, and then we gotta remove this vacuum line here in the back, and hopefully we can kind of flip this all the way, so we can access everything real easily. So I'll start here. We'll start with the middle one. Alright, so we got those loose. I'm going to pull this. I don't know if you can see here. Let me check the camera without dropping it. Yeah, there's a little small vacuum line right here. And this is the one we're going to kind of pull away so we don't break it. I'm just going to pull it off to the side. It's out of the way. Then we're going to remove the plenum. It comes off real easy. And it kind of gives you access to everything you need underneath. I guess if you need more access, there's a bolt right back here that'll help you flip it out. And I guess for video purposes, I'm going to take that bolt out. That way I can just flip this whole thing over, and then you can see everything that's here. Looks like a 12. Let's see. I was wrong. 13. Well, you know it's a 13, so there's just one single bolt of there. It has kind of like a grommet on it to absorb vibration. So I'll take this one off. It's over here by the coolant tank. If it's not on the camera there, I'm sure you're just looking at my arm. There we go. Breaker loose. We're almost there. After this, I think I'm pretty much done. You know, take it for a test drive and all that good stuff. Of course, everything I'm gonna have left is all cosmetics, like those the wheel wells. I'm gonna have those liners painted, and hopefully that's the stuff I bought works. As in for the pinstripes, I wanted to take them off, and I got that you know, that eraser wheel, and it didn't work out. I mean, I guess the pinstripes on here are a beast. And let me grab the wheel. So I just did like a small section, and the wheel's already pretty much torn up, and I probably got like this much done of the pinstriping. So this wheel, the wheel was no match for it. Which is kind of a bummer for me. I was hoping for a quick way to get it off, and now I'm gonna have to use like a 1500 grit sandpaper and wet sand it off, and then go back and buff it all and polish it up. So kind of a bummer, more work, but it is what it is, especially since I already started it, so there's a gap missing. So it's a bummer. Alright, so I got that back bolt out. I'll show you. This is the bolt that's holding the back of the plenum just by the throttle body, by the coolant tank over here. That's what's holding it together. So let's get this up all the way. Now I'm hoping I can just kind of, hopefully got more room to kind of flop this back. One more hold up. a wiring harness plug. So I get my wire separator. Let this work. Come on, buddy. I'm trying not to break it. There we go. Still I'm stuck. What am I stuck on? Oh, this hose here. So let's separate this hose. Okay, that one out of the way. How about now? Got some cables that are pulling. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of stand this up. If I can. There we go, kind of. I'm just worried about this one. So, this is really dirty, so I'm gonna have to clean this off of camera here. Before I do that, I'm just gonna, just for precaution, I'm gonna stick some rags into the intake. You're gonna put a piece of tape or whatever over it, or if you're really careful, not worry about it. Let's take off that sticker. Great, it's made in Mexico. I don't care. Okay, so see here, there's a lot of dirt. So what you want to do if you have a situation like I do here is you want to get a vacuum and probably vacuum all this stuff out on the way. You don't want nothing dropping into the spark plug holes and dirtying that up too. So and if stuff happened to leak down here after you pull these wires out, you know, you might have to blow out more debris before you remove the spark plugs. So bear with me for a quick second. I'm gonna go grab the vacuum. I'm gonna vacuum alpha camera. I figure that's not necessary to put on there, and plus it's probably gonna be pretty loud volume wise. So I'll do that real quick and we'll come back and we'll have this all cleaned up. Okay, I got it fairly cleaned up. You know, I want to kind of get all this dirt off, all the debris out of the way, kind of clean up a little bit with some spray, kind of dry it off before I start pulling plugs. But I'll dress it up after we do the full install, make it a little bit nice, make it look a little bit new. You know, selling purposes, right? It's all about presentation. Guess it'll be started. You can tell I already have the MSD ignition coil on here. Personally, I think it's the best coil you can possibly buy for these engines. And if you guys are interested, it's part number 8239 from MSD. I guess a little short story about the PT Cruisers. You know, they came out in 2001, and Dodge must have made a killing at the time. You know, they always come out with these innovative vehicles where, you know, it's kind of a throwback. They were kind of like the first to start doing throwback vehicles, and this was one of them. Of course, the original that they based it off of was much bigger. It was more of a delivery vehicle. But the funny thing is, in 2001, they came out to the dealerships, and it was like everybody had to go check them out. It was kind of funny. Now that I think about it, you know, it's a glorified Dodge Neon, and so the Dodge dealerships, they were selling these for $23,000 MSRP, and I was like, you know. Now I look back at it, I'm like, no way, you know, that's quite a bit. To make matters worse, is all these cars were produced in Mexico, so I can imagine the bargain that Dodge was making when they first came out. So which brings me to a funny story. A friend of mine, you know, he wanted one of these. He wanted a new one. He wanted to get one, deck it out, take it to car shows and all that good stuff. And what he did, which I still scratch my head over it. He had a 1969 Pontiac Firebird. Now, it didn't have the 400, but it had the 350, but still at the end of the day, it was a 1969 Firebird. He ended up selling that car for really cheap. If I remember, it was something around $7 grand. Ran, drove, everything. There was nothing wrong with the car. And he put that money toward buying a PT Cruiser. So, you know, kind of a funny story. You know, people are different. You know, I guess people get different taste or whatever. But if I was him, definitely wouldn't sell my 69 Firebird for a PT Cruiser. That I can tell you. So, being an owner of a 1970 GTO, no way. There's no way I'm selling that for a PT Cruiser. Yeah, it's reliable. It's going to get you there. It's going to give you somewhat decent fuel mileage. It's not going to win you any races at all whatsoever. But hey, this one's lasted my family, and it's done a great job. The only problem that I had with it, since I've owned it, was the electric fan. And the electric fans from Dodge were junk, first of all. I happened to buy this fan. I paid extra. I think at the time I bought it at Napa. You know, I made sure it had a lifetime warranty, make sure it was like the best built alternator, so which means the price was high. And I didn't care. I just, you know, you do a lot of highway driving and you want the best of everything. You know, it totally sucks being broken down on the side of the highway, especially in, you know, rush hour traffic. So some of these things you just don't go cheap, and that one I didn't. So I'm glad for it because it's still here today, and it's still doing its job. So all right, so first thing first, I'm gonna pull all the the wires off. It's pretty easy. The front two, everything kind of lines up. You know, if you mess up the wiring, putting it back together here, I don't know what to tell you. I took off the wire looms. I think I'm gonna use them. The new set doesn't have any. I figure it's you know, we have them. It's worth putting it back on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna plug it off. I'm gonna pull them all apart first. Okay. What I'm gonna do before that, so I don't forget, is get a blue towel. And kind of inspect these terminals here, making sure that there's no grit on them. I'm sure I'm the one that replaced this, so I'm pretty sure I put some dielectric grease on them. And they look like to be in fantastic shape. I think it was like 7 years ago I put this coil on here, and it still looks new, besides the dirt that got piled on it. So I'm going to just rub them real quick, and then I'm going to look at my towel, make sure everything looks fine. Do a visual check, you know, make sure there's no brazing. If there is, you know, if on yours, you probably get a little emery cloth and just, you know, kind of rub them a little bit, make sure the contacts are good, and then put dielectric grease back on it. So I think we're good there. They look fairly clean. So now let's try to pull these spark plugs out, and those look very clean too. Let me get in there. Yeah, very clean. Nothing's got in. It's got a tall lip where it kind of sits on there. Nothing really gets in there, so it protects it fairly well. Let's get this one. And sometimes if these things get stuck, just give them a quick twist, and then yank them back out. That one's very clean too. Come on, there you go. Very clean, no oil, no nothing. Very clean. Make this job easy. That one's clean as well. All right. So we're batting 1,000 here. I'm just gonna clean around it real quick from where I squirted the dirt, and it kind of created mud puddles, unfortunately. I just clean those up while we're here. Okay. So we're going to use a standard spark plug socket. It's with the, I don't know if you can see it, with the little rubber grabber in there. I don't know what size are these. Doesn't even say. Anyway, you can see if this is even long enough to reach down here first. Make sure I don't have the, oh, that's perfect. So my extension is just long enough. You don't need anything longer than that. That'll work. I'm just going to use a regular ratchet. I don't use power tools on spark plugs. Create a huge issue. Nice and smooth. Want to kind of feel for it, making sure there's no grinding when taking them out. You don't want to cross thread anything. get that one loose. Break the others. Next. And from this point, I'm just going to use my hand to kind of screw them off. Right here. The header. Looks like my spark plug tool ain't grabbing it for whatever reason. Guess I'll go grab this one. If not, I'm gonna have to get another one. Maybe this one's done for. Or maybe I should get a nice one that's magnetized. Yeah, it's not picking it up. Okay. Guess first thing first is get a socket that actually picks them out. Let me see if I can grab another one real quick. Okay, let's try the Craftsman one. Maybe, just maybe. There you go. Well, these look pretty good. They were champions that I put in there. No oil. Electrode looks fairly clean. Slightly worn. Not too bad. This one has a little bit of oil on the edge. Kind of residual. Huh. That's interesting. Might be burning a little bit of a leak in the gasket down there. Huh. Overall, everything looks good. At least it's not soaked. If it was soaked, then we'd have an issue. That looks good too. Electrode's a little bit worn down. No oil. Looks good. This one as well looks really good. You can tell it does need new ones, so, and that's what we're here for. So, okay. So what I bought the Bosch ones this time, and part number is 6711. When you buy these as a set in the store, since these are platinum, they are already pre-gapped. So you want to kind of gently check the gaps on them. Usually these are protected. There's a little ring in here that kind of protects the electrode. Let's see here, and these have them here, so this protects it. But you know, you always check the box. Make sure the box doesn't look like it got dropped or anything like that. You know, if you damage this, you really do not want to bend these back out. They're platinum, and you can actually, by bending them, destroy the platinum and a small crack that you might not see, and you basically destroy that plug. So it'll still work, but over time, you know, you might get some corrosion on those. So always watch out for that. So I checked these already gently, and they were all good, so just watch out for that. So I'll get these all out, lined up. I should put a clock down here so we can see what we're doing. And you don't want to drop these on the ground taking them out either. So I'm going to take them out right here on top of this towel, just to avoid that. I've actually done it before where I've taken it out and I've, you know, butterfingers, and it hit the floor, and I'm like, oh no, I have to go get a new one. So safety first. Alright, I think we're good. And so you saw how easy they came out, and that's because the last time I did it, as I do with all my spark plugs, is use a little bit of anti-seize on the threads. I usually use this one, and that's what I'm gonna use. But you know, if you don't have this, they have these for, I think, $1 at the, you know, all the parts store. It's basically the same stuff, so it'll work. I'm gonna use this one. Has some copper in it. Don't go crazy with this stuff. It's not necessary. What I like to do is just put a small little dab on it, and I'll kind of run it through a little bit with my finger. And once those go on the thread, it's going to spread all the way through, all the way up. So, like I said, don't go crazy on it. You don't want to put it anywhere in this area, for sure. Always try to stay a little bit below it there. Just put a little dab. Go. One more guy left. That one's set. Alright, so we're going to use the same tool, the Craftsman ones. It seems to work. I'm not going to put any dielectric grease on this side. I'll do that on the plug. I don't want to get anything inside my tool. And on the plug it's going to work fine, so we'll put it on the plugs, I mean on the wires, not the plug. They're snug. You want to be gentle, drop it in, try to get as straight as you can, just don't drop it. You want to bend nothing going in, and kind of slowly start it, make sure it kind of goes in smoothly. You can kind of feel it when it gets stuck. That's why I do it by hand, because you can't overdo it and destroy something down in there. That would be a complete nightmare. So I put it hand tight. Check this off. Alright. Next. Surprised that camera's holding up right there. I have it so close to the edge on the fender that I'm trying not to move the car so it doesn't fall off. As long as a strong breeze isn't coming through, I think we'll be okay. But other than that, you guys might be going crashing down. Checking yeah, it's still there. All right, next. Pumping in. And when we get to torquing these down, it's just going to be with a hand wrench. Don't go crazy with it. There's no crush washers on these. So once they set it into their spot, that's it. So don't go crazy with it, or you will strip the aluminum threads down there. last one. These things have long threads. Okay, almost there. I'll make sure I get them just hand tight before I go and torquing these down a little bit. Okay. All right. Like I said, don't go crazy. Just a snug fit. I'm used to always having the crush washers on spark plugs. This one doesn't have them, but I like the crush. It makes it a little bit easier to feel your, hey, stop torquing me down point. And that one's done. All right, make sure my gun is still there. We're good. Okay, put those there. Next thing I'm gonna grab is my dielectric grease. We're gonna get out the wires. I went with Denso. Here's the part number here. Got that? Alright. So get these all out. See if there's any difference. I can give you some dielectric grease, but I'll be using my own. Alright, so I haven't looked at these yet. The funny thing is, it says first time fit. But they're all the same size. Which is kind of interesting because I believe the other ones I had, let's see, this one seems shorter. Maybe this one's longer. Oh, they're just slightly shorter. Oh well. Gonna work anyway. So first thing first is I'm gonna apply some dielectric grease on the terminals on the coil. Rub that around real good. We don't want any corrosion or any moisture getting in there. That's gonna prevent it. I'll do this to all four. Like this. Alright, clean off my fingers. And you remember I didn't put no dielectric grease on the spark plugs. I prefer to put them in up here instead. So when I push them on, it kind of gets it gets all of it, and it doesn't destroy my tool or I have to go and try to clean it. So I'm going to put a little bit here on the tips. Alright, that should do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into each one. I'm going to slightly spin it, help spread that grease a little bit. Then I'm going to push down. Need to check it. Didn't have really a snap to it, but no snap. Okay, the next. Put it in, kind of wiggle it in there. Push down. Okay. Next. Okay. Alright, then we'll connect one at a time on top to the coils. Sorry, my arm's in the way. Make sure those are on there good. Alright, I guess we'll put these wire looms back on there. Kind of get one side started here. Spread her open. There we go. That's one. Two. There's three or four. Can't even count these days. All right, so that's it. The next part is we're going to put this guy back on, and let me see if I can get her untangled here. I want to see if I can get it in frame with the camera real quick. I zip tied it up here so we had some room. There we go. Okay, so the gaskets are right underneath this plenum, and I'm not sure if I can actually rotate it for the camera, unfortunately. But they're underneath here. Let me see what you see. Let's see if we can do it this way. Yeah, I don't think you're gonna be able to see this. They're right in here, and so I'm gonna get a little pick and pick them out. I'll show you what the new ones look like. That kind of give me an idea, since I can't get in the frame with the camera without disconnecting the speedo cable. Oh, here we go. Hopefully I didn't break that one too much. Cruise control. Okay, still works. Let's see if it'll stretch out. No, it's not going to. Okay, so we're just going to use... See what I got. I'm just going to use a quick razor blade. That's what I have in my reach. And I'm going to pick these out. And just simple gaskets. And there's 4 of them. So I'm going to pull all these out. Get your new set. New ones in. The other ones I bought are for the lower intake to the engine, to the head, and then this one's for the throttle body. This is the kit I bought. So I might opt to actually take the throttle body off. It's fairly simple, and replace this gasket, plus clean out the throttle body, make sure there's no carbon or any gunk buildup. It'll help, just ensure that the car is going to idle smoothly after all this work. So put these aside. We'll save these for later. I'm not sure if I'm going to use these lower ones or not, so I'll just keep them or give it to the new owner of this car. So, slide these guys in here. You don't have to do anything fancy to these. You can just put them in like that. No pre-grease, no anything. go. They hold them in place nicely. Get this out of the way. And the next thing you want to do is, get a cloth or whatever you have and clean around the mounting points for these, making sure there's no debris in them. Mine doesn't have anything. I'm just doing it, just for precaution. I didn't have any leaking gaskets, so if you have a leaking gasket, you most likely have to clean this. Use where you have to clean it. No sandpaper. If you had to use rubbing alcohol, brake cleaner, intake, carburetor cleaner, whatever, or just like me, if it's just a cloth that you need, just do that. And we're going to just set that back down. We're going to hand tight the bolts back down, and that's it. I'm not going to do that at this point. I'm going to go back here and I'm going to detail the whole entire engine while I have the plenum off. And then I'll come back and install this and start putting everything back together, and then we'll continue from there. Okay, I figured I'll bring you along. I got everything put back together. Everything's detailed. I'm not real big into the show and shine type of engine detailing. I'm more of a make it look new type detailing, so that's what I do. I don't like all that super shine stuff. It just makes it look fake. It's like if I'm trying to cover up something from the buyer, so everything's on here. Intake, the filter box is back on. All the sensors are on. Put the vacuum hoses back on the backside. Got all the bolts up, tying up these guys. I'll double check that. Maybe I should double check that now. I don't think I did. Here. So you want to hand tie them. Yeah, I didn't go back over them. My fault. I had a big old air leak and it would have ran like junk. I'm going to have to track down where I left the extension for this one so I can tighten up the rest. Sorry if I'm shaking the camera so much. Hopefully you guys are not going sick over it. All right. Okay, let's move this, make sure that doesn't vibrate. All right, let's jump inside and see if she idles fine. It might take a while for it to do the idle relearn since I disconnected the battery. So that's something to watch out for, but if she starts back right up, awesome. I got you in frame. Let's see if I can hold you here. There we go. Prime. Righto. I'm gonna let her warm for a second. And we'll give her a rev, make sure there's no misses. Get this cover on the way now. There we go. Starting to settle down slightly. horsepower. Roar. I don't feel any misses. We won't know completely for sure until we go for a test drive. But I gotta finish up the rest of the car before we do that. I'll take you along with me when we do it. All is good. So I'll start buttoning up the outside. I still gotta take care of that pinstriping, polish down this turd, paint the wood well covers. What else we got? See, it's just basically cosmetics. We might do a little bit of PDR work on some of the I got a couple of dents on the hood, very small, but I want to try to get them out as much as I can. So we'll go from there. Thanks for watching.